And welcome back to the OHO podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Buckeye Boggs. That man over there, that's the wild man, Chris Wilds. And you are you, and we're thankful that you decided to join us for tonight's video. Do us a favor, hit the thumbs up, like, and if you haven't already, subscribe, ring the bell, get notified every time that we go live. We go live every Thursday night with our live call-in show, every Sunday night with our roundtable discussion show, where we bring on guests, both in the media, podcasters, and former players of the team to talk all things Ohio State, most likely the football team. Tonight's video, however, relates kind of with Ohio State. It's a Big Ten opponent. It's a Big Ten foe. It's a rival. They claim us as their main rival, Chris. We claim them as our secondary rival. That's Penn State. There was some news dropped today from Happy Valley that, quite frankly, Chris, is not very happy. It's kind of disturbing, to be
Really
honest with
sickening,
you.
honestly.
So let's talk about a little bit about the news that came down tonight about James Franklin, and we'll discuss a little bit and maybe see how it relates to Ohio State. So, as I'm sure if you're watching this video, you are kind of aware or are aware that a former doctor of the university was being questioned in a trial and released some information in his testimony that is pretty damning to James Franklin, the head coach of the Nittany Lions. He described an incident, Chris, where Franklin and then Penn State athletic director Sandy Barber wanted a player, Chris, who attempted suicide to be medically disqualified while he received short-term psychiatric care. This disqualification would have caused the player, Chris, to lose his scholarship, allowing Franklin to offer the spot to another player the following offseason. Now, what I want to highlight in this, and of course, you can go to our website, theohiopodcast.com. We have an article up right now. It's got quotes in it. You can go down the rabbit hole, follow all the links if you want to get even more information. But let's start right there because there's more claims here, Chris, that we might get to in this video, depending on time. But let's start right here. This is where it relates to Ohio State. We had a player not that long ago, very good player, an important player, starting center, Harry Miller,
Yeah.
who for an entire season was missing, like was on the injury list every single week. And when asked, none of the coaches were permitted to talk about it. Afterwards, after the season's over, we realized the reason why, and that was because Harry was dealing with some mental roadblocks, you could say, and his mental health was dealing with his mental health. I think is the proper way to term that.
Yeah.
It was dealing with suicidal thoughts.
Yes.
And Ryan Day handled that situation. Although at the time we were very upset because no one knew why, he handled that situation perfectly. He protected Harry. He shielded him from the media. He took all those bullets from the media, questions, why isn't he playing? What's wrong with him? And just build a brick wall up. And then afterwards, we find out that Ryan Day may have saved his life.
Mm.
Harry said as much.
Yeah.
Ryan is a big advocate for mental health. Of
Yes.
course, most of you, again, who are watching this know his story. If you don't, Ryan, when he was a youngster, his father killed himself, and Ryan grew up without a dad. And so it is a huge part of him and his wife, the passing on the blessing that Ohio State has given him in his contract by giving some of that to Children's Hospital and the On Your Sleeves program to help children, adolescents with mental health. So that's where this story relates for us
Mm.
Ohio State fans. And when you hear what James Franklin did, and what we don't know, Chris, is his approach to the player and his mental health behind closed doors. We don't know that. But now what we do know is that he was basically almost, sounds like, according to this doctor, kind of just getting him out of the way
Hmm.
to use that open scholarship as opposed to protecting him, keeping him in the program. To this day, Harry Miller is still associated with the football program.
Yes.
He's not gone nowhere.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know if it would ever happen because of the fact that he's moved on in age. Ryan Day left the door open if he wanted to come back.
Yes, now he medically retired,
Yes.
but yes, Ryan Day absolutely kept that door open for him. And basically as long as he would like, because he'll have 2 years of eligibility. He still has 2 years of eligibility remaining, and I believe he's still at Ohio State working on his doctor. He's an incredibly intelligent human being.
Yes.
So James Franklin did not, it appeared, did not handle this anywhere like what Ryan Day handled this. At least it appears that way, Chris. Your thoughts on at least that aspect of it?
It was possibly one of the most single disgusting things I think I have ever heard.
Really,
You take
that much, huh?
you take a young man who's in a mentally fragile state who needs your support and you're going to yank the rug right out from under him, basically tell him, "Hey bud, not only are you off the team, you're out of school." You're going to do that to a kid who is in a mentally fragile state of mind right now. It's completely disgusting. Now I understand the fact that you would like to use that scholarship to someone who can be competitive. But you know what? I really feel like if Ohio State could lose a top tier player the way they did and still approach it the way they did, then the same thing could have been done at Penn State. And yes, there's different people, different approaches, I'm sure. Um, Ryan Day has a higher awareness, a higher reverence, perhaps, for mental health and what these guys are going through. But at the same time, all they're doing is kicking the kid while he's down. And that is just completely morally reprehensible. I can't think of anything that's even close to, we like to talk about getting on, the team up north because they're cheaters. We like to talk about, in the past we talked about the issues that Penn State had, of course, with Jerry Sandusky, which, I'm not saying this I'm not saying this ranks up there with that, but at the same time, it's not too far off.
What it does do is it opens that wound up.
Yes.
Whether you agree or disagree with that, the fact is that people are now talking about Jerry Sandusky again is just cutting that wound open again, scratching that itch. And for some people who don't like Penn State or want to hate on Penn State, it gives them the opportunity to poop all over them again, right?
Yeah.
And the sad thing is when you look at, like you said, when you look at the mental health aspect of this thing, it's one thing to push your players when they are aching and they're hurt and they're bruised
Right.
and they're beat up, right? It's another thing when they're not right mentally. And then to just say, well, let's excuse him because we could use the scholarship.
Yeah. And
The win at all cost aspect of that is downright despicable, like you said.
but the more you dive into it, Eric, and I don't know if you were going to bring this up or not. Um, but it's not just the win at all cost. If you look, that was the mental health aspect of it. But there are so many other layers that are coming out and now it's multiple doctors who have actually confirmed this.
Yeah,
Um,
let me read that real fast, Chris,
yeah.
because that's the next layer of
Were
this.
were
So
you
let's
were you going to address the Christian Hackenberg situation as well?
no, but I'll let you do that in a second. But let me say this: that Dr. Sandberg or Sadenberg, however he pronounces it, described while under uh, um,
Under oath.
while yeah while being testified, numerous meetings where he said Franklin pressured him, Lynch, and the athletic trainer to change their medical decisions, Chris, and the treatment advice given to the players. And then he repeatedly stated Franklin's actions were an attempt to influence medical decisions. In other words, Franklin was playing doctor, and
Yes.
he's no doctor. He's a head football coach.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I understand again, I understand that college football is competitive. And yes, you are out there playing for your job every week. Not just the players, the coaches are out there coaching for their jobs every week. And I understand that, but you have this incident with the young man who was suffering from mental health issues. Now you're putting kids out there, pushing them, risking their careers because you know what? The kids who are going to be pushed the hardest are the ones that are most important to the team. Guaranteed. So now you're out there risking not only their collegiate careers, but potentially their pro careers to get them back on the field sooner so that you don't get a black eye because you lost to somebody. It's awful. And then to take and add another layer to that, a report came out that, Christian Hackenberg, when he was at Penn State, lots of issues with his ankles, Eric. Lots of issues with his ankles. The doctors, of course, if you have ankle injuries, a lot of times they will tape up your ankles to add extra support. James Franklin fought against this, according to reports. He did not want Christian Hackenberg or other star players to have their ankles taped if there was not an existing medical condition just for additional support. And do you know why? And this is the part that's really disgusting. Because they had just signed a deal with Nike and it covered up the logo on the shoe. It would have put them in breach of contract. And not to say that it would have, but it could have put them in breach of contract. So he told the doctors to not tape ankles for extra support. Allegedly, let's keep it. He allegedly told doctors not to tape ankles for extra support, to only do it if there was a legitimate injury that required it. Now, does that mean that okay, they've got a little sprain, but we don't really need to tape up just a little sprain?
Yeah,
But you
Chris,
don't know. It's twisted.
yeah, I
It is
played with
completely
guys who
twisted.
rolled their ankles,
Yeah,
right? Got their ankles taped,
sure.
got used to it, and it became a thing like, hey, I don't feel right if I don't have my ankle taped.
Well, yeah,
And so even though they weren't hurt, they were taping their ankles because just again, it felt better to them when they played. That's ridiculous, man. And
and it does give extra support, Eric. I've had a high ankle sprain numerous times. I've had ankle sprains, but I've had a couple high ankle sprains as well. And that extra taping that down gives you additional support. And if you're going to be doing anything on an ankle, even if it's a mild sprain, if you're going to be doing anything like you need the additional support. And he's saying that you don't need it unless it is a serious injury.
hmm,
Don't
short term,
tape it if it's going to cover the logo.
short term, long term. Short term, I think this hurts Penn State's recruiting.
Yes, absolutely.
Long
Who's going to?
term,
Yeah.
might give Penn State an out if James Franklin doesn't have a good season.
Oh, I think it absolutely does. I think you're right. And short term, yeah, I definitely think it hurts recruiting because what player is going to want to play for someone who does this kind of thing? And what parent is going to want their kid at a school where they can't trust that the coach is going to be looking out
Yeah.
for their best interest?
I mean,
As a parent, I wouldn't let a kid within 100 yards of that university right
yeah.
now.
James Franklin can't sit down and with a straight face in a parent's living room and say, "Hey, I'm going to take care of your kid,"
Yeah,
because the very next coach who's recruiting against him is going to pull up this article and say, "Really?"
yeah. For all the crap that I give Ryan Day, he legitimately cares about the players and he takes care of the players
Yeah.
without a doubt. And that's something that James Franklin will never ever be able to say, like you said, with a straight face. And long term, I'm just gonna say I don't know that James Franklin's got a long term right now.
Yeah, he's on. He was already on JR's recent Big Ten hot seat. Was number
Yeah,
3 on the hot seat list. He's been there 10 years. He's won one Big Ten championship. That was his third year in 2016, I believe it was. He's only beat Ohio State once
yeah.
in 10 years, and he's lost. He's on a losing streak now to the team from up north, and now Oregon, USC, and Washington are here in the conference.
It's very reminiscent of Mark Richt when he was down at Georgia. Honestly,
Yeah.
down there he had so much talent and only ended up winning 15 years, two SEC titles.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
interesting. Like, share, subscribe. We really do appreciate it. It really does help out the channel. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Are we missing something? Do you disagree for whatever reason? Do you think we hit the nail on the head? Does this actually help make look Ryan Day a little bit better with the way he handled Harry Miller versus the way James Franklin appears to have handled a similar situation over there in Penn State? We love to get your feedback. Let us know in the comment section below. Till next time, OH,
IO.
go Bucks. Hey everybody, it's Buckeye Boggs from the OHIO podcast. If you could do me a big favor, there's one way you all can help right now the growth of this channel. That is giving us a thumbs up. Hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook. The other thing you can do is you can become a member by joining our monthly membership. It's only $3.99. If you become a member, you will receive this awesome t-shirt, an official OHI podcast member t-shirt. After you've been a member for 1 month, we will send that to you in the mail. Also, you can when you do that, you'll get access to free content behind the scenes that we have only for members only. You will also be able to have extra little icons and graphics that you can use, little emojis that are specific to just this channel that only members have as well. The other thing you can do is you can purchase merch from our store. And so if you go on over to the ohiopodcast.com, the OHIO podcast.com, as you see here in the URL at the top there, you'll see that there's links at the top of the page for all of our articles that you can read: football, recruiting, basketball, other sports, podcasts, etc. You can email us. There's a contact there. We also have a store. The store is ran by Chris, the Wild Man. He runs an online store that you can get all kinds of memorabilia as well as a few items from the OHIO podcast. But if you want OHIO podcast merchandise, t-shirts, hats, etc., you're going to want to click on this merch link. And this takes you to Campus Sideline, who we have partnered with in creating um, official OHIO podcast merchandise. So the new alternate logo, that is our main logo now. White, you get a white, you can get a red. The famous "We Want Angry Ryan Day" t-shirt in white or red. We have that in a white hoodie, as well as the OHIO podcast in a white hoodie, and the fitted OHIO podcast hat as well. There's the prices for all of that is below each item. If you click on it, you can pick your size, add it to the cart, etc. We go from small all the way up to 5XL. And there is a little bit extra upcharge on the 4 and 5XLs, but that's to be expected. I'm sure any big guys out there will know that already. Anything that's beyond $50, you can do 4 interest-free installments with that as well. So if you get a big order, you don't want to pay for it all at once, you can do 4 installment payments for that as well. Campus Sideline, they print things off about every 2 to 3 weeks. So if you order That order might take a couple weeks to print off and then ship to you, but it will get to you, we promise. And of course, the more people are ordering, the faster they will want to make those prints and get those shipped out to everybody. So please, you want to help us out, go on over here to our website, theohiopodcast.com. Go over to the merch store, click on merch, buy yourself some official OHIO podcast merch, and that will help us out here at the OHIO podcast. Thank you so much, guys. We really do appreciate all of your support. And of course, keep watching, keep loving the Buckeyes. We're going to be here. We're going to keep talking about them all off season and into the fall this upcoming year. Till next time, OH.